You're smart. You've always been smart. You can solve problems most people can't. You can learn faster, think deeper, see patterns others miss. But here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Your intelligence might be the exact reason you're still broke. That sounds backwards. It feels wrong. But if you're listening to this right now and your bank account doesn't match your brain, you already know I'm right. You've felt it. The confusion, the frustration, the quiet anger that comes from knowing you're capable of more, but somehow still living paycheck to paycheck. This isn't about motivation. This isn't about working harder. This is about understanding why smart people stay trapped in financial mediocrity and what you need to do to break free. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to learn why intelligence doesn't guarantee wealth, what invisible mistakes are keeping you poor, and the exact mental shifts that separate people who earn money from people who build wealth. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Intelligence Trap. Here's the problem. You think your intelligence will save you. You think that because you're smart, money will eventually figure itself out. It won't. Intelligence and wealth are not connected the way you think they are. Smart people stay broke because their emotions override their logic when money is involved. You can analyze a business case at work with perfect clarity, but when it's your own paycheck, fear takes over. Greed takes over. Ego takes over. You make decisions based on how money makes you feel, not on what money actually does. And because you're intelligent, you don't just make bad decisions, you justify them. You build sophisticated arguments for why you deserve that car, why you earned that vacation, why you should invest in something risky because you're smart enough to beat the odds. Intelligence doesn't protect you from emotional decisions, it just makes you better at defending them. Here's what this looks like in real life. You get a raise. Finally, you've been working hard, you deserve it. So what do? You upgrade. Bigger apartment, nicer dinners, better clothes. Your income goes up, but your wealth stays flat. Because you're not thinking about wealth, you're thinking about what you've earned the right to spend. The intelligence trap is this. You believe that because you're smart, you'll always be able to earn more. So you don't protect what you have. You don't build systems. You don't think long-term. You just assume your brain will keep generating income forever. But income is not wealth. And intelligence without financial discipline is just expensive overthinking. If you're smart and still broke, it's not because you're not intelligent enough. It's because your intelligence is working against you. Chapter 2. The Knowledge Gap. Here's the second reason. You were never taught how money works. You know calculus. You know history. You might know how to code or write or manage people, but nobody taught you the difference between assets and liabilities. Nobody taught you how compound interest actually functions. Nobody taught you that wealth is built through ownership, not salary. Financial literacy is not intelligence. They are two completely different things. You can have a high IQ and be financially illiterate. Most smart people are. Because the education system rewards abstract thinking, not practical money management. So what happens? You make money decisions based on what feels right, not on what the math says. You think a high salary means you're doing well. You think buying things that hold value is the same as investing. You think debt is just a tool everyone uses. And because you're smart, you never question these assumptions. You assume you already understand. But here's the reality. Rich people think in assets. Poor people think in income. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. Your car is not an asset. Your house is not an asset unless it generates income. Your salary is not wealth. It's just the fuel. What matters is what you do with it. The knowledge gap is this: you don't know what you don't know, and because you're intelligent, you assume that if something were important, you'd already know it. But you don't, and that gap is costing you everything. If you want to break free, you have to admit that being smart doesn't mean you understand money. It just means you're capable of learning. So learn. Chapter 3: The Action Gap. Here's the third trap. You know what to do. You've read the articles. You've listened to the podcasts. You understand that you should save, invest, build passive income, but you don't do it. Because knowing is not the same as doing. Smart people suffer from analysis paralysis. You wait for the perfect moment, the perfect investment, the perfect plan. You want to optimize everything before you start. So you research, you compare, you overthink. And while you're thinking, time passes, opportunities disappear. Compound interest that could have been working for you is working for someone else. Here's the truth. Wealth is not built by people who know the most. It's built by people who act the most. Imperfect action beats perfect planning every single time, because the market rewards consistency, not brilliance. You're also afraid of being wrong. Smart people hate being wrong. It feels like a failure of intelligence, so you avoid situations where you might make a mistake. You stay in your comfort zone. You keep your money in a savings account earning nothing, because at least you're not losing. But inflation is killing you slowly. Staying still is not safety. It's just slow financial death. The action gap is this: you treat money like an intellectual exercise instead of a behavior. You think your way around problems instead of building your way through them. You wait for certainty that will never come. If you want to break free, start before you're ready. Make the first move. Open the investment account. Automate the savings. Buy the first asset. You'll learn more from one real decision than from a year of research. Chapter 4: The Identity Problem. Here's the fourth trap. You've built your identity around being smart, and that identity is keeping you poor. Because your identity dictates your behavior, and if your identity is smart person who earns a good salary, you'll keep earning and spending. You won't become a builder. Wealthy people see themselves differently. They don't see themselves as employees. They see themselves as investors, owners, people who build systems that generate money while they sleep. That identity shift changes everything. Right now, you probably think of yourself as someone who trades time for money. You go to work, you get paid. That's the deal. And because you're smart, you get paid well. But that identity locks you into a cycle. You can only earn as much as your time is worth, and your time is limited. Here's what has to change. You have to stop seeing yourself as someone who earns and start seeing yourself as someone who builds. Builders don't just make money, they create systems that make money. They buy assets. They invest in things that grow. They think in decades, not paychecks. This shift feels uncomfortable because it means admitting that what you've been doing isn't enough. It means letting go of the pride that comes from a good salary and recognizing that salary is just the starting line, not the finish. The identity problem is this: you're still playing the game you were trained to play. Get good grades, get a good job, make good money. But that game doesn't create wealth. It creates comfort. And comfort is not freedom. If you want to break free, you have to change who you think you are. You're not just smart, you're a builder. Act like it. Chapter 5: The System Solution. Here's the truth. Willpower will not save you. Discipline will not save you. Trying harder will not save you. If you rely on willpower to manage money, you will fail. because willpower runs out. Life gets stressful, you get tired, you make exceptions, and exceptions become habits. What saves you is systems. Automated systems that don't require you to think, decide, or resist temptation. Systems that move money before you see it. Systems that invest before you spend. Systems that build wealth while you focus on everything else. Here's how this works. The day your paycheck hits, money moves automatically. A percentage goes to savings. A percentage goes to investments. A percentage goes to future you. What's left is what you spend. You never see the full amount. You never make the decision. The system makes it for you. This is how wealthy people operate. They don't rely on motivation. They don't wake up every day and decide to be disciplined. They set up systems that make the right financial decisions automatic. And then they forget about it. The system runs. Wealth builds. Right now you're probably managing money manually. You check your account. You decide what to save. You think about investing. And because you're smart, you think you can manage it. But managing is exhausting, and exhausting doesn't last. The system solution is this. Build once, benefit forever. Automate your savings, automate your investments, automate your wealth. Remove yourself from the equation, because the best financial decisions are the ones you never have to make. If you want to break free, stop trying to be disciplined. Start being systematic. Set it up once, let it run, and watch what happens over time. Chapter 6. The Spending Reflex. Here's the sixth trap. Every time you make money, you spend it. Not all of it, but most of it. Because spending feels like reward. You worked hard, you earned it, you deserve to enjoy it. And that reflex is killing your future. Smart people are especially vulnerable to this because you can always justify the purchase. It's an investment in yourself. It's networking. It's quality over quantity. It's experiences over things. But at the end of the month, your account is empty. And all those justifications don't change the fact that you're still broke. Here's the shift. Spending is not the reward. Building is the reward. Every dollar you keep is a soldier working for you. Every dollar you invest is a seed that grows into more. Spending gives you a moment of satisfaction. Building gives you a lifetime of freedom. Wealthy people delay gratification. They don't deny themselves forever. They just understand that the best things in life are paid for with patience, not paychecks. They buy assets first, luxuries second, and they only buy luxuries when the assets are generating enough cash flow to cover them. You don't have to live like a monk. You just have to stop treating spending like success, because spending is the opposite of wealth building. It's wealth destruction. The spending reflex is this. You've been conditioned to consume, to celebrate income with purchases, to measure success by what you own. But real success is measured by what you keep and what that money creates. If you want to break free, flip the script. Celebrate saving, celebrate investing, celebrate the moment you buy your first asset. That's the real reward. Chapter 7. The Comparison Trap. Here's the seventh problem. You're comparing yourself to the wrong people. You see your colleagues buying new cars, your friends taking expensive trips, your peers upgrading their lives, and you feel pressure to keep up. But here's what you're not seeing. You're not seeing their credit card debt. You're not seeing their empty retirement accounts. You're not seeing the stress they carry from living paycheck to paycheck. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, and it's costing you everything. Smart people are especially vulnerable to this because you're competitive. You're used to being at the top, And when it looks like other people are winning, you feel like you're losing. So you spend to catch up, to prove you're successful, to signal that you've made it. But wealth is invisible. The richest person in your office might drive the oldest car. The person who looks the most successful might be drowning in debt. You can't see wealth. You can only see spending. And if you're chasing what you see, you're chasing the wrong thing. The comparison trap is this. You're running a race that nobody wins, because the finish line keeps moving. There's always someone with more, always something nicer, always a new level to reach. And if you're building your financial life around what other people have, you'll never build anything that lasts. If you want to break free, stop looking sideways. Look forward. Compare yourself to your own future. Ask if your decisions today are creating the life you want in 10 years. That's the only comparison that matters. Conclusion. You're smart enough to be wealthy. You always have been. But intelligence alone won't get you there. You need to understand why you've been trapped, why emotions override logic, why knowledge without action is worthless, why identity shapes behavior, why systems beat willpower. You now know the traps: the intelligence trap, the knowledge gap, the action gap, the identity problem, the spending reflex, the comparison game. These are the invisible forces that keep smart people broke, and you now know the solution. Learn how money actually works. Act before you're ready. Build systems that automate wealth. Shift your identity from earner to builder. Stop spending to signal success. Stop comparing yourself to people who are pretending. This is not about getting rich quick. This is about getting free. Free from financial stress. Free from living paycheck to paycheck. Free to build the life your intelligence deserves. The gap between smart and wealthy is not intelligence, it's behavior, and behavior is a choice. Choose differently, starting now.